Hey guys, Brad here with Custom Offsets. This is going to be an episode of shit I never knew. This one's going to be called What Goes Up Can't Come Down.
Custom Offsets, Team Stance is the genie. I'm top of it now. We ain't never gonna fade, so you better get ready for taking over the game.
And what we're talking about is, we get this question sometimes, not too often, but here's a perfect example of it. This guy's got a 2011 Silverado 2500 HD, and right now it's got a 7.5-inch rough country lift on it, and he wants to go a different direction with this truck. He wants to go down. He wants to lower it. And initially, he wanted to go with the BDS 2 to 3 inch coilover system, which is basically almost like the height of a leveled stock truck. And that's what he wanted, but you can't do that. And the reason why is when you do a lift kit, most of the time, if the differential is getting dropped down, and I'm only referring to independent front suspension trucks, what I'm gonna say here. So, when the front diff gets lowered down, you actually have to cut the cross member and come around here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you can see here, the issue is this front diff, as you can see, is lowered down, and you have to lower it down for the CV axle angles. And what happens is this factory cross member here, which would be the stock lower control arm cross member, comes about over to here. This one comes out, and then they connect for the stock application. And when you do a lift kit, you actually have to cut the cross member. As you can see, it's cut right here. You cut it off, you cut a piece here, and then you take that metal and you throw it away. And that's the problem. Did you hear Charlie? That's the problem, is basically you have to cut that piece off. So in this case, we couldn't do anything for him because obviously we didn't install this kit. We don't have those pieces of metal, they're long gone. I guess in theory, if you still have those pieces of metal that you cut off in the cross member here, you could weld them back on potentially and put everything back to stock. But in most cases, people don't hold on to that stuff. It becomes scrap metal, it gets thrown out. So what we told this gentleman that his best bet would be is to go with the lowest height cross member kit, lift kit. So what we chose to do is we wanted the 4.5-inch BDS kit, and so that's cross members, knuckles, everything like that. So it would still be a kit that required the diff to get dropped down, and it's still going to use the cross member here, and it's basically going to take the place of the cross member in there, but it's going to be as low as possible without having to have that piece that we cut out. And he's actually going to turn this one down all the way, which is another thing that people like to do. Since these are torsion bar trucks, it's a 4.5-inch lift, but you can actually turn the torsion bars down as far as you want, and it will make the truck even lower than 4.5 inches, and they ride super smooth like butter because there's basically no spring tension on them. And so that's what we are going to do here. So we're gonna go in here, basically remove all the rough country parts. So the rough country drop cross members, sway bar extensions, the rough country knuckles, shocks, the whole deal, skid plate, everything rough country on this. And then it's going to get replaced with the new BDS stuff, which is all right here. So you're going to have the new drop cross members, the differential drops. It's actually going to raise the diff up a little bit over this one because it's a smaller lift. Smaller blocks in the rear, obviously, going from a 7.5-inch to a 4.5-inch. And he's going to go with Fox shocks on this one. So this thing's going to ride way nicer than it did when it came in, because these kits ride pretty damn rough. Just ask Cody. But yeah, so the real reason why you can't go back to stock on most IFS trucks with lift kits is because they pretty much all require cutting. And unless you save those factory pieces of the frame or cross member that you cut off, you're not gonna get it back to stock. And no one sells those pieces either because the kits require to be cut in slightly different spot. What the f is that? Hello? Cello? But yeah, so this guy wants to go down lower, and initially he was planning on going with that 2 to 3 inch coilover kit, which would use the stock cross members, which obviously you can't do in this application, and that's exactly why, because they get cut out. So we're gonna go ahead, put the 4.5-inch BDS kit on there, lower it all the way down, and go from there. Alright guys, so we got the old Rough Country kit off on this truck and the new BDS 4.5-inch kit on. If you remember, we took everything on the Rough Country kit off, so all the old cross members, the old knuckles, everything like that is kaput. And the new BDS stuff is on, as you can see. Pretty much they use the same components, but they're not the same. So we still have our lower control arm drop cross members. Got a new skid plate up front, underneath here, the differential drops as well, all the new BDS stuff, and this was all because the new knuckles as well up here, Fox shocks all around, new braided brake lines that come with the kit for the BDS, and as you remember, we had to do this because this truck already had the lift kit. So as you can see, because this truck was already cut, it actually works fine with this BDS kit, because usually you cut them in the same spot. So the BDS kit just went right in place. The old one, everything was already cut. You got the non-torsion bar drops here as well. Those are the new BDS ones. It's pretty much replacing all the Rough Country stuff with all new BDS stuff. Because like I said, this owner, he wanted this thing down as low as he could. And this is what we could do because that was cut. The cross member was already cut. So yeah, we got that. Pretty much it. Nothing special on this kit, just a simple install. Differential braces and everything go along with it. And then in the back, took out the old blocks in the back. You can see the new blocks are much smaller because, like I said, went down to the 4.5-inch lift. But we got nice Fox 2.0 shocks in the back, the new U-bolts, the whole 9 yards, everything. But yeah, so 4.5-inch BDS lift, replacing the old Rough Country lift on this 2500 HD Duramax truck. We're gonna get this thing down, put the wheels on it, turn the torsion bars as low as they'll go, and we're gonna send it. Peace.